That is West Ham 2, Bournemouth 2. Well, it's actually the other way around. Bournemouth 2, West Ham 2. I've got to be honest with you. I'm a bit grumpy and I'm a bit annoyed. And I shouldn't be. And I've tried to sort of regulate myself, really, because thinking that's a really good point. Away to Bournemouth for anyone. They're unbeaten at home this season. And that's a really good point. But you factor it, there's a lot of context to this. Also, before I want to talk about the game itself, I want to talk about talk about the weather. It was miserable conditions, and I thought that was hard for anyone. I mean, for the players to kick the ball, it was wet, it was windy, really windy, and the wind was in our favour in the first half. We scored 2 goals. The wind was in Bournemouth's favour in the second half. They scored 2 goals. I think difficult for the goalkeeper to catch the ball. And anyway, so now I've made the excuses there. West Ham were 2-0 up in that game, and we decided to defend from the 51st minute. We were still 2-0 up, and we drew 2-2. I really like Nuno, and I really like what I've seen of him, and this is nothing beyond this game as a review. But I don't wanna see much more of that. It has to be said, and I'm not talking about in terms of it, whether it's entertaining or not. It's surrendering to the point where we just retreat, and retreat some more. We know all about it at West Ham. We've seen enough of that over the last few years, and it usually does result in you not winning the game. And then that's what's happened. And if we'd have kept a little more on the front foot, there's no way Bournemouth would have been able to attack as much as they did. I don't know what the stats are at the end of the game, but quite near the end, it was 20. Bournemouth had 28 shots and we had 4, right? I also think at the very point where he withdrew Callum Wilson, we'll talk about him. We'll talk about some individuals in a minute. But at the point where he withdrew Callum Wilson after 51 minutes, I think Callum Wilson still had much to give. And there was no doubt about it. Having scored 2 goals, they still feared him. And I think the substitution of bringing Souček on for Wilson, which I don't mind at all, was done far too early. And on this occasion, it didn't work. And I've come to the conclusion the reason it didn't work is we didn't have enough attackers on the pitch anyway. The couple of times we've done it before when Souček has come on and scored, Lucas Paquetá has been on the pitch. I think you can do that substitution. But if you don't have Paquetá, you can't do it. You just can't, because he'll often move up into that position and take up almost that false 9 position. And then you've got Souček arriving from late. We had nobody. Also factor in that he's made the substitution of bringing on Kyle Walker-Peters for Luis Guilherme, which he'd done at half-time. And Guilherme was not good today, don't get me wrong. But you've made 2 defensive substitutions, and it was a case of, right, come on and let's see what you got. And they showed us what they had. And if it wasn't for a superstar performance by Alphonse Areola, we would have lost. That would have gone from a 2-0 lead to 3-2. And in many respects, we got away with one there. And I think if you can get away with it, if you get the win, then you can say, well, that worked. I think if you're 2-0 up and you get pegged back and you ended up getting a draw, you can't really say that that's worked. But I do think that is a good point. A draw at the Vitality, that's a tough place to go. I do think that. But I don't know. I've just had a little quick look at the league. We're out the bottom 3 for the moment. Leeds are down at the moment. That much is good. I also noticed that Nottingham Forest won 3-0 at Anfield. And I don't know what happened there. So I don't know if Sean Dyche did the same thing. Maybe we'll find that they actually sat back and defended. What I would say is we don't have the players to do that. The sort of thing that Nottingham Forest can do, because we don't retain that level of pace on the counter-attack. I think the moment you've taken all of your players off, there's no one there. By the time he brought on Füllkrug, Füllkrug is not the guy that's going to help you. If what he'd done is he'd realised we didn't have any threat on the counter-attack. Basically, there was nothing left. There was no one left on the bench who we could come on and make a real attacking impression with any pace and athleticism. And that's an issue. Now, I do apologise. I know I've probably spent the last, like the first 5 minutes of this video whinging and moaning, but I would be disingenuous if I didn't. That's just how I feel, and I guess that's a good thing, right? The fact that I'm sat here annoyed that we got a draw against Bournemouth, but that was it. That was easily avoided, and I suspect when we do get some players in, that sort of thing doesn't happen. And this is why it's so important. We get another striker in January, and we get another wide player with pace. This is very, very important because they didn't have anything to worry about. They were just chucking more and more attackers on. They were going forward, and Areola does that. I think he's a great coach. He's going to do that anyway, but you can do it with sort of a bit more reckless abandon. You don't have to worry. Well, he didn't worry that what was coming back at him because nothing did. And even there was one point, one dribble where we won the ball, and I think Jared Bowen managed to dribble past 4 men. It's still not enough to score a goal from there. You're asking someone to dribble past 5 or 6 men and score a worldie. I thought he got that wrong. Honestly, I really thought he got that wrong tactically, and I'm just saying that there. But yeah, really pleased with Nuno generally, and I'm hoping we'll be quite pleased with that point come the end of the season. But there you go. That's what I thought about it. Want to deal with the players. Areola was sensational. Sensational. I'm not going to talk you through all these saves. There were too many. Just too many. He got so many players out of we got West Ham out of trouble in that game. Make no mistake about it. But he wasn't the only player that played well. And there are reasons to be pleased with Nuno Espírito Santo because some of the things he's doing are really, really good. I actually thought I thought that was a game that was probably tailor-made for Wan-Bissaka because it was scrappy. Wan-Bissaka's not the most technical player in the world, but he's scrappy, and that was a scrappy game because of conditions. And look, he did some things right, and he did some things wrong. Right at the end, he almost cost us a goal, by the way. Areola saved him. Areola was sensational. What I want to do is talk about the centre-backs, if I may. Max Kilman was involved in both of their goals. Both of their goals. I thought the handball to give them their penalty was reckless. And I thought he was weak. I thought his attempt to make a tackle. Now, you've got to remember, this defender is left-footed. I thought he was in a position to step forward and make the tackle with his left foot for their second goal. Now, listen, the guy playing the pass, I think was a centre-back, had all the time in the world, should have been more closed down. And when you have a fast striker who's maybe putting him under pressure, tactically, there was a lot wrong with that goal, right? With the second goal there. Tactically, there was a lot wrong with it. Don't get me wrong. But at some point, you have to think that, well, sometimes your team is going to make mistakes. And then you're going to get a chance. You might get one chance as a central defender to make the difference. He didn't. I thought he was really, really weak then. I thought what also didn't. So I thought Max Kilman was involved in both goals. He's involved in too much. I'm getting to the point where I don't really want to see him play too much for West Ham at the moment if he's going to play like that, because Igor, who I thought looked very rusty, missed very start of the game, missed a clearance straight away. But he got better as the game went on. I thought he was better than Kilman. I'll tell you, was a lot better was Todibo again. I thought Todibo was magnificent, absolutely magnificent. I can't. Whatever Nuno has done that is transformative. He's got him fighting, and he's got him battling, and he's got him winning. And that's why I moaned about Nuno at the start, to get me moans out of the way, because he has done a lot of good things. And Todibo is one of them. Yeah, to such an extent that he's the guy. If it was Mavropanos and one other, for instance, for the next game, it would be Mavropanos and Todibo for this. And I said this in the build-up show. I thought he was absolutely tremendous. Igor did pretty well. I've got to say, I thought he did pretty well. I was quite impressed with him. He's better than I thought he was, and he was better than Kilman. Diouf was, I don't know what Diouf produced some couple of wonderful crosses in the first half. One of them almost got Wilson his hat-trick. So I seem to be saying the same stuff about Diouf, although in this game he didn't get better as the game went on because nobody did, because of the way that we retreated. I don't know what his defending's dodgy. It really is. I don't know what he thought he was doing for offside for their second goal. But anyway, there you go. Was disappointed to see Fernandes taken off. I don't think it was easy for these midfielders. I think the trouble is once you take players like Wilson, Fernandes, and Guilherme off, to state the obvious, you can't bring them on again. And actually, they were the type of players I wanted on the pitch when we started to struggle. And I understand Guilherme was really struggling. So okay, take him off. Okay. But I didn't think there was a really good reason to take Fernandes off and to take Wilson off when he did. I guess he had to do something because he'd brought Souček on and he couldn't take Souček off. But realistically, he probably should have done. When he realised we were under the cosh a bit, I just think he should have left Fernandes on because I thought Fernandes played well. I thought Potts played well. Potts made mistakes, don't get me wrong, but I think it was hard to pass in that game. That being said, towards the end, Bournemouth were doing really, really well. I think they acclimatised and got better with the conditions. Potts remained on, and I thought some of the stuff he did was really, really good. What else we got? Sorry, just look through some of the players there. Bowen battled his heart out, and some of the defensive work he put in, even just try and get us off the pitch, I thought was really, really good. Which takes us to Callum Wilson. And Callum Wilson, I've spoken a lot in the last week or so, well, last 2 weeks about match winners. Have West Ham got match winners? And we've spoken about Wilson. Wilson is a match winner. He's still got the knack of scoring goals. The first goal, he took it beautifully off his chest. It was an assist from Areola, hoof up the pitch, on his chest, spun, hit the ball. Now, the keeper will want to be doing better, but that is next to impossible. I've got to say, the way that was skimming across the ground, the wind was blowing, the wind got behind the ball. It's bounced up off a really saturated surface. I thought he did well to get a hand to it, quite frankly. It was a good goal. And it was very much Wilson's goal rather than an error from the goalkeeper. But the goalkeeper would be disappointed with it. Wilson's second goal was closer in, but it might have been even better. It's a bit of ping pong with a head in, Bowen header. Todibo then helps it on with another header. Again, on the chest for Wilson, swivels and sort of hooks it in the far corner. It was very good. It was he's a goal scorer. These were strikers' goals. And I suspect these will not be the last goals he scores for West Ham. We need all the match winners we can get. And this is the thing, you don't need your match winners to keep scoring all game. And I think this is it. I wouldn't mind it if it'd come on Wilson had done his job, if we then had people on the bench to bring on who are going to carry on and give us an attacking threat. Who are, maybe they're not match winners, but maybe they just carry on frightening the opposition. Paquetá, I think I'm annoyed with Nuno because Paquetá was a big miss. And he managed to figure out how to beat Bournemouth without Paquetá. And he had he'd cracked the code. And then he let it go. And then, yeah. It's funny, isn't it? Sometimes you see a manager and he gets it wrong at the start and he fixes his mistakes. I think in this instance, he had it right at the start. And then he sort of made it worse by his substitutions. With each substitution, we seem to get progressively worse. I thought... what he offered, Fulkrug offered nothing. He offered nothing at all. Absolutely nothing. Right, listen, I'm gonna love you. I'm gonna love you and leave you. I've actually got the rugby paused, as I don't know the rugby result yet. So I think I've got it paused. My son's done his job. I'm going to watch the rugby now, and yeah, enjoy. It's a shame. It's a shame. I thought I predicted a draw. I'm not sure how much I believed it, but I predicted a draw. And I think somebody asked me if you were offered a draw, would you take a draw now? And I said, no, I just think there is a draw because I think there's a possibility we can win. And that's the annoying. That's why I'm annoyed. We could have, should have won that game. And I understand if you're a Bournemouth fan watching this, you're probably thinking, well, we should have won that game. Never mind you, mate. We should have won that game. But I felt we let them back in. I really did. Well done, Areola. I mean, well done, Areola. I'd say well done, Areola. Well done, Todibo. And well done, Callum Wilson. Those three are the heroes of the day, and I think there'll be a lot of recriminations, and I think none more so from the manager himself. But I think, yeah, I would hope that the manager's not going to really tear into too many people today, because I thought he got it wrong, and I just, yeah. But if there is a rollicking, those three won't be involved. I thought they were absolutely brilliant. We will go into more detail when we do our Patreon player ratings on Monday. If you want to tune in for that and you're not a patron already, it's £3.60 a month. If you want to help support Hammers Chat, links in the description below. Patreon.com/Hammers Chat. Probably not feeling it at the moment, because you might be as annoyed as I am. I'll read the comments tomorrow. I'm gonna shut down West Ham for the rest of the day. I'll read the comments on this video tomorrow, and I'll find out how if you're grumpy as well. If you do fancy a bit of extra Hammers Chat, you can take advantage of our 7-day free trial if you want on patreon.com/Hammers Chat. Just Google Hammers Chat Patreon. Probably the easiest way to find it. Thanks to everybody. Would you mind, by the way, before you go, would you check if you're subscribed or not, please? If you're not, would you mind clicking the subscribe button, hitting the bell next to it? I would very much appreciate that. Right, I'm going to love you and leave you now. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch up with you tomorrow.